Hey everybody. Oh, I gotta look at the camera.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 2-ish, to Part 1 of
Smith
and Waker. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, where we talk about all things women,
motorcycles,
and fun.
Lots and lots of fun.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, pretty good. Not like I didn't see you recently.
I know.
Spent the day with her, evening with her yesterday.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's snowing outside.
Yeah.
Got a pretty good heavy snowfall. I made up a song.
Oh God.
Would you like to hear it?
Yes, please.
Let me see if I can remember. When the snow hits your eye like a big flake of ice, that's Minnesota. Copyrights are pending. Don't think about stealing it.
Don't give up your day job.
Yes, any hooter. Moving on. We're here to talk about motorcycles.
Tons of motorcycles. So I think when we left you last episode, we talked about, we kind of kicked off the season, and I'm looking at the wrong camera again. We kind of kicked off the season and we said, hey, we'll be back. And so we just went through all of the rides that we did this past season.
I'm looking at the wrong camera.
18 of them to be exact.
Mm-hmm.
And plus a little. I'm guessing there are others that we did that we're not going to necessarily go into. But so we decided that's way too much to cover in 30 minutes and keep your attention the entire time. So we're going to cover a third of them.
Keep our attention the entire time.
Squirrel. So we're going to cover like a third of them.
Yeah.
We're going to talk through them. And some of them will maybe gloss over, and some of them will go a little deeper into because they had a little bit larger impact on either what we learned or how we felt about it. So,
true story. So we kind of, I think, talked a little bit about this ride when we got to the end of last season. And yes, that feels weird to say the end of last season, but before we took our summertime sabbatical. So the first group ride, so we set up a bunch of rides at the beginning of the season, and we said, okay, we're going to do one large group ride and one dinner ride every month, and we committed ourselves to that. And then as the season progressed, it grew a little bit because we decided, or we've discovered that we needed to kind of expand on that because not everybody was ready for a large group ride. Some people wanted a mentor ride, and sometimes we wanted to do things that we hadn't scheduled, like, oh my gosh, all the waterfalls that are up here. Being from Oklahoma, that was kind of new for me, so that was fun.
and she's got a thing about water.
I do. So the first ride we did was the Rochester ride.
Yeah.
On April 3rd.
April 3rd, took off to Rochester. I thought it was a beautiful ride down. And this was kind of the first time, I think, that we met up with some women in another area. They came in, and it was a little, we pre-wrote it the day before.
Yep.
Because that was the first time I tried a little slider with peanut butter on it.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, you got all those little burger things, and you were like, I'm going to try this one with peanut butter, and I said,
And it wasn't bad. I'm not sure that I'd go racing back for another one, not necessarily because of the restaurant, just because of the combo, but it was all right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And we went to Newt's that day.
Yeah.
So we got
Newt's
a
was
picture
fine,
here.
but it was,
we're going to throw a couple pictures up somewhere, up in here, up there where you can see them.
And the one thing that came out of this ride that I really was touched by, and you recently posted about it, of course it goes bad, you recently posted about it, was this idea of being an includer. So tell me what you saw in that post when you found it, because you were so glad that you found that.
Well, a lot of what we've talked about doing is this whole kind of movement, women who ride together and creating this sisterhood and this kind of, I'm not finding my words, but it's about being inclusive and about, I kind of touched on this last episode about finding your passion and sometimes being at a certain age in our life, we were like, what are we supposed to do? We've been these things all of our life. So, but a lot of us I've gone through my whole life just looking for a place to fit in. I just wanted friends. I just wanted to be liked. And I never really have felt like I've clicked truly anywhere. And I'm squirreling. So I found this little meme thing. Do you want me to read it?
Sure, yeah, go ahead. And we'll post the meme as well. You'll see a picture of it show
up. It says, When you are with a group of people, take a look around and notice who might feel left out and include them in the conversation. Be an includer. You might be doing you might be doing more than brightening someone's day. You might be helping to heal a raw, tender place in them. So I'm sure as I read that, or as you read it, it speaks to you on some level. It's just about being included. Like, that's all we ever want. And so many different...
And that's where I started to feel that for the first time, and you just put words to it, but for the first time for me was at least down in Rochester, where I was feeling like we ran into people we didn't know. We were bringing people together that didn't know each other. And right away I found, I saw somebody sitting by themselves because they didn't know anybody. And I thought, and I had mentioned on one of the posts that, you know, Molly and I early on said, super comfortable for her and I to sit together and then, you know, have everybody else sit at tables. But then we said, no, let's not do that. Let's always split ourselves up, and we'll make sure that we're being inclusive, so we're going to live it.
Not that we think that we're somebody important.
No, but it's super comfortable when you know each other to just sit at the same table. So maybe the challenge is that for all of us, sit at a different table the next time you're out. You know, just say hi to somebody that you don't know or you wouldn't normally say hi to. You know, sit down and break bread with them at a lunch that you're going to, and you never know what you'll find. Right. So
people have very interesting stories.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And people have a lot in common, and you don't even realize it. Like, somebody else's struggle might be your struggle too, and you don't know until you talk to them.
And we'll talk about that in some of our other episodes as well.
For sure.
That we found that a lot this year, that people all of a sudden started to share, and then they could relate on levels that we just none of them knew that they had in common with other people.
Yeah.
So a fun ride. We met some new folks down there, hooked up with another group that happened to come with us. They were kickstands, so they rode in the back.
Yep, they did. A whole group of them.
A big group of them, and they were super impressed with all of the bikes that we had.
Yeah. And if you're new to Smith and Waker lingo, kickstand is a boy. Yes, it's
boy germs.
So he's a tripod.
Tripod.
So tripod, kickstand, you know, it's
men.
Yeah, men.
Yeah. So that was Rochester.
That was Rochester. That was fun.
That was fun.
They had really good popcorn. I remember that.
Yes, they did. And then we moved on to class. Yeah. So in class, we did go to class, right?
Yeah, we did. I didn't write that down.
We went to class April 11th.
Oh, April 11th.
So we've talked about this a whole bunch in our first season of this, but how important it is for us. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but we would recommend it for everybody. But we try to start the season off with some sort of class.
Some refresher.
Yeah, just get yourself back into pulling clutches and giving gas. Or having gas.
Yeah, that's all year.
Yeah. And with all of these, we don't know where we're going to insert our pictures probably, but watch for pictures to come up through all of this.
Yeah, sometimes I'll point randomly, sometimes
and there might not even be a picture there. Right there.
I think too, though, living up here, and a lot of people down south are Oklahoma viewers, because I'm from Oklahoma, and all my Oklahoma friends better be watching. Anyway, they don't know what it's like to winterize their bikes. I didn't understand that until I moved up here. So that's kind of lost on some people. Like, what do you mean refresh your riding style? But even if you don't winterize your bikes, I feel like an annual refresher on riding technique is always a good idea, especially if you're planning a long distance ride that's going to be a bit of a challenge. One of the things that I learned, not necessarily learned this year, but that I was reminded, I did go to Arkansas when we didn't, that's not on here, but Kim and I went to Arkansas in May, and you'll hear about Kim because we've got a ride planned with her next year. And we did the Pig Trail, and we did a couple of other Jasper Disaster and some other rides. And it really, those rides, if you don't know how to do slow turns, and if you're not familiar with rear braking and downshifting, you're going to struggle. And I'm probably going to get some kickback on this. I'm probably going to get some flack, but I would argue that any day. If you're not comfortable in those slow speed turns and slow speed maneuvers, you're going to struggle with some of those rides. So I would always recommend that people get in and just do like an intermediate rider's course.
I don't think you can practice enough.
Mm-mm.
You know, it's kind of a skill that somebody told me it's kind of a skill that kind of depletes after the end of the season, so you need to work it again. And you know, why wouldn't you want to practice that muscle?
Absolutely. So yeah, we did that class. That was fun.
That was fun.
It was so much fun that some of the women who didn't get to do that, we visited that again later in the year, and we did a second one in like August, I think. We didn't do it, but we
went and visited.
Yeah, we went and visited. So, and then from there, Lumberjack?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a ride in April, on April 15th.
It's cold.
Lumberjack is an axe throwing establishment over in Stillwater, Minnesota.
Woman-owned.
Woman-owned, absolutely.
No plug-in.
Yeah, it was just too cold, so we drove over and threw axes and had appetizers and enjoyed some company.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We met a couple of new people that I think Kathy. That was the first time we met Kathy Rennick. Shout out to Kathy.
Shout out.
So that was fun. I don't have any pictures from that one. I can't find them.
We'll find some.
Yeah.
If not, we'll throw the link up to the Lumberjack.
There you go. And
then we kicked off the real season with International Female Ride Day on May 1st. That was fun.
That was huge.
Huge. Always makes me nervous.
That's Monica's baby. That's her ride that she plans every year.
Yeah.
This was our third year, was it?
Yep. Yeah, third year. And I think we ended up with...
I'm going to put a picture right there.
Yeah, right there. Look at that. 50. I think we ended up with around 50 women.
Yeah.
That rode. We did, I think it was a couple 100 miles. We went up into Wisconsin, grabbed some lunch that took a really long time to grab.
It did, but there were a lot of us there.
Yeah, and we did give them a heads up that we were coming, but still. And there were a bunch of, our hope was actually we were going to meet up with some other women that were celebrating also. Didn't work out quite how we planned, but it turned out fine because with 50 people, that's a lot in a group. So we left there, took off and went up near Turtle Lake, Wisconsin, and then we headed for ice cream. You scream, we'll scream.
For ice cream, yeah. How many times do you think you pre-rode that ride?
3. I take super serious making sure that I know where I'm going, which I'm a little bit directionally challenged anyways, but making sure I know where I'm going and making sure that the roads are right and that the timing is right, because I try to be really respectful of people's time and doing what we say we're going to do. So I wrote it and then wrote it again and then wrote it one more time.
So for that to have been such a large ride, we were very fortunate in that we didn't have road guards, which is something that we're really going to have to think about moving forward. But that was such for as big of a ride as it was such an easy ride. It was so much fun. We had a few, we had a few little snafus, but we didn't really get any separation, except for a couple, like one lady lost her wallet and another lady we just lost. I'm so
When
sorry, Kara. I still feel bad about that.
She went to go get gas, and we didn't know she
Yeah.
left, and so, but then again, that was a lesson learned,
Oh,
right?
definitely.
So that's part of what we talk about during our pre-ride too. Is, hey, if you need to leave the group for whatever reason, just let us know. Like, you're an adult, you can do what you want to do, but let us know so that we're not either waiting for you or leaving without you.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But
that was a big one, and then we're hoping to have a big one this year again.
yeah, so if there's anybody in the Minnesota, Wisconsin area that's also planning, we would very much be interested in trying to kind of meet up at some point. Maybe we could I'll ride somewhere, like come in from a different direction and meet up and have lunch and then continue our ride, or however we want to do it. It's just, it's a pretty emotional thing whenever you get that many women together on a ride. And I think if we could build on that, just, it doesn't matter who leads the ride, just let's all just be together.
It's just
and
fun to
celebrate.
think about, like, if we had 50, if we had 50, and imagine that there were 5 other groups that had 50 also. Imagine how powerful it would be to have 100 and 250 people come together at one time. That was quick math, by the way. But have all 250 of those come together at one time. That would be super cool.
Right.
To end up in one place and then have people look and go, wow, look at how powerful those women are. So
Yeah,
so we'll get there.
it's impressive. It sure is.
Yep. What was next?
Dinner ride.
Oh yeah. So and these dinner rides were really your baby. This was really, you had this great idea of, let's just on a regular basis get together and do dinner rides
Locally.
Yeah. And so what was our first one? Was Psycho Susie's.
Well, the first one was supposed to be the Lumberjack, which we talked about, but the first
yeah.
actual ride we did was Psycho Susie's. That was on May 13th. That was, so I mentioned earlier I'd went on the ride with Kim. We went down to Arkansas and rode the Ozarks. So we got back on the 13th at about, what time was that ride supposed to leave? At 5:30? I think I rolled into town at 4:45. I came directly to the dealership. I didn't even go home. I changed my shirt because I felt gross because I
she'd been on the road all day,
like 6 hours. And then we did the lineup and we took off for Psycho Susie's. And you actually led that ride because I was so tired. I was like
exhausted.
Yeah, I was like, I'll sweep. Will you please just leave?
Yeah.
I was running on adrenaline,
Far past empty.
and by the end of the night, I think French fries. So that
And we'll have a few
Yeah.
pictures posted for that one
Yeah.
as well.
That was a fun ride, though. We had a couple. We had a husband join us. Teresa's husband joined us,
Yep.
and then
We had some new folks that,
we did.
a couple new people joined us.
We had the parking lot over there is a little bit hard to navigate, so we had a couple of little things over there. But
Yep.
that was fun. That was a fun ride, and it was so pretty right there on the Mississippi River. So
Yeah, I think that's when we started the, not unofficially, but started the award for bike drops.
Yeah.
We don't talk about who did them. They just
They
did
faint.
a little award
Yeah.
when, they don't drop, they faint. When people's bikes faint, we give an award to that person who,
it's just a spoken award. It's nothing tangible. It's just
you don't get a gift card or
you're
anything.
awesome. You're part of the club.
Now bend down and pick your bike up.
Yep. Yep. So then from there, let's see.
Duluth?
Duluth, June 6th.
Oh, that was a big one too.
That was
That was a really big one.
a Saturday ride, and we actually co-edited that ride.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
There is a different dynamic whenever you ride in co-ed rides versus women-only rides. And I don't know if it's, don't kill me, don't come for me when I say this, please. I don't know if it's the competitive nature of some gentlemen or if it's the need to try to be protective and
Or flex their muscles.
Yeah.
Or and out of fairness, is it because women are a little more laid back, or whatever the combination is, it doesn't always.
yeah, but in my experience, just and everybody is different, I haven't really ridden with a lot of aggressive women who ride aggressively. We all just kind of tend to follow the pack. But that ride was interesting. I was leading it. most notably, we learned a lot that ride because it was a lot larger than we thought it was going to be. There were about 23, I think, in that ride. And what picture? Oh, yes, sorry. It's like, what are you queuing me for? We needed to split that ride up. So, especially when you're going through a lot of towns with stoplights.
Yeah.
So we got separated a lot at the jump of that ride. So, thankfully, Monica and I had kind of talked about the route, but which we always do before we took off. And we ended up pulling off on the shoulder. And Monica, being the force of nature that she is, who is not afraid to remind people of safety, quickly jumped off her bike and reminded everybody that we are going to ride safely. First and foremost, we are going to ride staggered. We're going to ride in our correct positions, and we're not going to be, what would you call when you go, and you know, that was a total Three Stooges sound, wasn't it?
No idea what she was talking
when
about.
they hot rod and they do the fatigue, you know.
Show off. You're not going to show off.
That wasn't the word. I'll think of it. But we ended up splitting the group in half, and it worked out amazingly.
Yeah.
Monica did go a little bit of a different route, and we all got there at the same time, and we all got there safely. Yep. So at that point, we had made the decision that if we had any larger rides like that, we were going to be putting someone in the middle of the pack that knew where we were going to kind of get us where we needed, you know, if we got separated, could know where we were going. So,
what's interesting about that is with 50, we didn't have that issue.
No.
But with 25-ish, we did. And the only difference between that was the gender of the people that were riding.
Yeah.
So, not sure if that has any, well, and we did go, it was a different kind, like, it wasn't through a small town with lots of lights. So that made a difference as well, but.
And I forget sometimes, if you're from Minnesota, up 61 out of the cities, there's a lot of lights up 61.
Going through White Bear Lake.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Because we went up 61 there, and then we came 35 back. So, but yeah, it was a fun day, though.
It was a really
learned
fun day.
a lot.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful day.
Mm-hmm. And again, I am not bashing men, so don't come after me.
You can, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And there'll be pictures.
Yes. I hope I time this right. If not, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm not looking at the camera. There we go. Okay. Anything else you want to add to that?
Nope. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Nope. And then?
And then, Lucky 13.
Lucky 13!
In Mendota. It was another dinner ride on June 17th.
That was a nice one, too.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the city, for the most part, but you took us on some beautiful windy roads to get there. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
That was the second time that we had a bike faint on us.
Yes, it was. But, to her defense, the kickstand wasn't completely
To the bike's
engaged.
defense?
Yes. To the bike's defense. And I'm sure that other kickstands can relate to this kind of kickstand failure. When it's not fully engaged, it doesn't always perform at its peak as the way it should.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, that's what I meant. But no, Tanya, that was Tanya's, one of her first group rides, and it's her first riding season this year. I am so proud of you, Tanya, by the way.
She's done so good this past season.
Amazing. She came in at the end of season last year whenever I was still working downstairs in the motor clothes department, and she was so excited to come in and look at the Sportster. And I actually walked her back to that bike and helped her with that. So,
yeah, that was fun.
Mm-hmm. And then...
And she is a beast now.
She is.
Oh.
And that was the first time we met Jen, too.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yep, Jen, she was on a...
There was a bunch of newbies there that day.
There were.
Yeah.
That was a pretty significant ride.
That was a pretty fun one. And it was conveniently located for folks, so we had we kind of drew them from, some other folks met us there.
Yeah.
So.
Jen met us there.
Yeah.
And Jen was on I'm trying to remember what she was riding.
That was the first time I met Michelle, too. Michelle.
Yeah.
With the French last name.
F, yes. Francois. Yes.
Yeah, there
were quite a few.
Yeah.
And then whenever everybody left, it was... Are you going to get emotional?
Mm-mm.
Okay, you look
I could get emotional, but I'll let you handle that one.
It was just awesome because, like, we had Elizabeth and Jean, and we had Tanya, and they were all, so we started doing this thing where whenever we leave a ride, we're like, okay, where's everybody going, so we can kind of pair everybody up, because not everybody wants to ride back to where we start, because it's not convenient, right? So we started pairing everybody up. So Jean and Elizabeth are two of the ladies that ride with us, and
Seasoned riders.
Yeah. And they kind of took to Tanya, and they're like, where are you going? So they put her in the middle, and they led her back and kind of got her back to where she needed to go. And it was just the most awesome thing, because that's exactly, I mean, be inclusive.
Yeah.
Be an includer.
Yep.
So
that's what we
was
stood
awesome.
there. I remember standing
Yeah.
in the parking lot afterward going, it's working,
Mhm.
it's working.
Yeah. And that was the first time I think Christine had gotten her street glide.
Yep.
From her, she'd upgraded from her deluxe and got a street glide, and she was on that. There's just a lot of fun things that I remember about that ride.
Yep, that was a good one.
And then Jen lost her earbuds.
Hurry up.
And they were hanging on her little saddlebag thing. Yeah, that was fun. That was a good ride.
Yep.
And then, finally, for today.
Yeah, then we decided we had gotten pinged a number of times when we would talk about any of these rides, that there were, we'd get pinged on our Facebook page about, hey, do you guys ever do that for new riders? I'm scared to do it in a group. I would like a smaller group. So we quickly started to realize, like, there might be something here. So we decided to try, we called it a new rider ride, but now it's become more of a mentoring ride. That was interesting.
It's a huge learning experience.
For everybody.
Everybody.
We kept it, thank goodness, it stayed small. I don't know that we can say
like
we kept it small, but
5 or 6.
yeah, there were like 5 of us. But met some folks that hadn't done much riding at all. We quickly realized that I think it's a prerequisite for us that if we're going to do that somebody have some formal training, because we don't want to be responsible for having to teach that when we're out on the road. We're not teachers. We're
been through that training. I'm not certified for that. I'm certified in real
I
life
still work on my own skills. So, but it reminded me of all the things that you need to make sure you know when you ride. My goodness. After a while, all of that starts to, you take that all for granted. You're shifting what gear you should be in, all of that sort of thing. You're stopping. And when you have some new riders that haven't done that, it can be a challenge for them. And that makes it a challenge for the rest of the group, too.
Yeah.
So.
And it can be a danger for if you're just the simple things that you learn in a beginner's rider's course.
Yep. Yeah, the basics. You got to nail the basics.
Yeah. But it was
but it was fun. Again, new people. That was
and we'll be doing more of those this coming season. But that's why we changed it from new rider rides to mentor rides, because we wanted that distinction there.
Yeah, not everybody that doesn't like or that is nervous about riding is a new rider necessarily. They just may not have had enough experience with it. And so if we can help with that, we will.
Yeah. And I think, kind of circling back to the includer thing, it's like a lot of women haven't had anyone to ride with, and it's hard to really get that experience and that saddle time if you don't have anyone to ride with, because if you're not riding with someone who's just a little bit better than you, then not necessarily better. Let me rewind. Let me rephrase that. Boop, 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 boop. Who has a little bit more seat time than you, then they're not going to be able to help you see the things that maybe you need to work on. I still have things I need to work on.
We all do. We all do. Well, and I think this comes back to stuff that we talked about in our last season, too, is this idea of finding someone, like you said, that had some more seat time, who can push you just a little bit out of your comfort zone. Because I know we hear that all the time. Like, if somebody wants to take you out of your comfort zone, you shouldn't ride with them. I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either.
If that was the case, I would still be in second gear going around the block.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was as good as it was going to get for me. So.
Well, and there's a saying, like, I was just reminded of it when we were talking here about you're only as good as the best person in your circle, and you're only as bad as the worst person in your circle. Well, why wouldn't you want to be hanging out and riding with people that are better than you?
Yeah.
Or not better than you, more experienced than you. I don't like using the comparative
have more
word
advanced
better.
Skills.
Yeah, have more skills,
more
experience.
And then I would say the add-on to that is make sure you're open as a new rider or an inexperienced rider to the fact that somebody may be able to give you some pointers. You don't have to take them, but be willing to listen to them. Yeah. Be open-minded enough to listen to them.
Not everybody is right about everything. I mean,
no.
What is something that we were talking about? Group riding, spacing and group riding, counting. There's a little bit of a debate between that. Like, do you count your 2 seconds from the person that is directly in front of, in front of you or in front of you when you're group staggered riding? Like this person or this person? And some people count 2 seconds this person. I count 2 seconds this person. So
and 4 seconds to that other person.
So
yeah.
I hope we didn't disillusion on that one because that kind of went.
We'll talk about it.
So I make a lot of sound effects.
And I would say that was, and the last thing on that mentoring ride, that was probably the first of 227 times or so that we went to Selma's for ice cream.
Oh yes, Selma's. You really should endorse us somehow. Like we should, or plug, whatever, sponsor us since we're
Selma's,
a lot.
Afton, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful ride there too.
Yeah, and beyond it, either way you go beyond it is fun too.
Well, if you know about Stagecoach Trail,
a
lot of people don't take advantage of Stagecoach Trail.
Yep.
And then there's also Indian Trail that we don't do very often because it's kind of it's an unmarked, no speed limits, but you gotta be.
I like no speed limit.
Yeah. Maybe someday we'll ride through Montana, where there is literally. I don't know why I can't talk. Jiminy
Crickets.
So that kind of brings us to where we had intended on stopping today.
Yeah, part 1.
Part 1.
Stay tuned for part 2. 2 after
can't talk
1
either. Yeah.
Where we'll talk about.
We had a rally.
We had a rally and a celebrity.
We had our HD ambassador come into town and speak at our thing.
We had silos and burgers and shenanigating.
Yep.
And then
we shenanigate on every ride.
I know we do.
That's really
we totally do.
Yeah.
We got good stuff though. Good stuff coming.
And I'll tell you about my new bike on the next episode.
Ooh, teaser alert.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, we are done.
We are done.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
And we'll see you next time
On
Smithandwaker.
See you later.
I'm actually going to put a mitt in my mouth.
How does my breath smell?
I don't know why that just struck me as funny all of a sudden. I don't know what that was.
I feel like that's a Lamaze class. Trying to get ready. Get rid of the nerves.
Where do you want to put that in at? Not that.
Yeah.
Where do you want to
In
put
my mouth.
the picture?
I just emailed it to us. We'll have to pull it into our thing, but I was actually thinking about doing it right there. Because it kind of sets the tone for how we feel about this all over the place.
Well, you have an idea about it, so I'm going to let you talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. But I want to get it in front of me, that way I can remember what it says. Alright. Position my water cup where I need it. There we go. Water trick.
Oh, Jesus.
It's better on a hot day.
Way better.
Okay, remember we gotta look
There.
there. Are you looking? Look there. Okay.
Should it really be on top?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look at the little thing that's sticking up
Okay.
on there. Are you looking at it?
Oh, now I am. And now I'm looking at the sticky. Up. Sticky. Up.
I can't really tell the difference.
Okay, what about up. Sticky. Up.
Up.
Sticky.
Okay, I'm gonna do the same. Sticky. Oh.
Yeah, you can't tell.
Okay.
All right. We ready?
For the record, wintergreen and apple cider,
Don't mix.
not so much.